Hello, and welcome to this filmmaker's commentary on True Colours. This is definitely a weird one. This is another short film made in the Cutting Room Productions group. So that consists of myself on sound and editing, Stephen writing and producing, and Brad on cinematography. And after seeing the credits now, apparently myself and Brad are joint directors. Now, the only reason I can think why we're joint directors, because on set it was very kind of free-flowing. Everyone had ideas coming up and things like that. But I think joint directors probably because we were disappointed by the result and no one really wanted their name with that title, really. But now, on revisiting this, it's still disappointing. But I do think there is something here that I think has some sort of value. Maybe because we found that there are so many problems with it in the end that we kind of learned not what to do again. But at the same time, I think there are some things that now work in retrospect. In terms of the story, it's about our main character there, Eric Walker, a musician who's a rising star, and his downfall, which is effectively put into play by our character here. I can't actually remember the character's name. Is it mentioned at all in this short film? I don't know. Wow. But I really don't know what we were really trying to say with this, other than, celebrities being wary of their public personas. I'm not sure. So that's probably part of the reason why we feel disappointed by the end of not really knowing what we wanted to do with the short film. However, there are definitely some interesting shots. There's just the sequence right there of interesting shots. One in the mirror, one waking up in between the guitar neck and his shirt, and this canted angle on the stairs. All kind of different, interesting shots that I don't think we really have done before in a lot of our shorts. I'm not sure. But then if we look further into mise-en-scene and things like that, I do think set dressing is a problem. You can tell that it is just a home, really. If I were to do this again, I think I would definitely have Eric Walker in some sort of modernish mansion, but obviously, you need as students, you need the funds to find a location like that, and I think it works as well as it could have done. And I think prop work worked quite well. We've got things like the guitar and utilization of wine, which is Ribena in the end, or something really strong Ribena, from what I remember. And the newspapers, well, newspaper is only one, we didn't make multiple, works quite well. I think it's an admirable effort, at least, because it definitely looks like a piece of paper with multiple pictures stuck on. But I think it's good that we at least tried to make our own kind of Telegraph, Daily Mail kind of newspaper. And actually, this kind of story is something that the news likes to circulate a lot. So I don't know, maybe that's the angle that we were looking at. Reflection of the news and celebrities. And funny I say reflection, we've got so many mirror shots, it's basically coming up with our own reading into this now. That's interesting. Takes a revisit to do that, really. And finally, I think the music definitely gives that very odd edge and kind of adds to that melodrama. It's not something you normally hear in a film. It almost sounds like a sci-fi kind of soundtrack, but it's an odd one, and I think that's something that worked quite well in conjunction with everything else. This whole final scene, by the way, I have no idea what we were going for. I don't know, it's kind of treated as a revelation. We've got our crazy character here revealing the musician character. I just don't know what that final bit's all about. And maybe that's the problem, because we didn't understand what it was about, we didn't really know what to do with it. But there is definitely a further problem. This was part of a module that was about visual storytelling and not doing standard storytelling, focusing on just, script, and not as much time focusing on visuals and how to tell a story that way, rather than characters explaining things and dialogue and things like that. And this was across the whole. I think this was across the whole class in this module. It wasn't just us. I hope it wasn't just us. And it was definitely designed to leave behind the basics of student filmmaking. But definitely part of this misunderstanding, and I don't want to sound like I'm blaming people here, but definitely part of this misunderstanding is down to our lecturer that we had for this module. This is the same, I think I said this back in the Christmas Incorporated commentary, but this is the same lecturer we had for that module, for the first documentary module. And so part of this misunderstanding is down to how this lecturer was taking us through what he wanted to expect from the films that we made with this. And so when it came down to starting production, there was very much a lack of guidance, or almost flippancy, on what kind of work was expected. It was almost like a kind of make what you want to make at the end of the day kind of attitude and mentality, which as amateur filmmakers is something we all want to hear. But when there is a marking criteria that effectively tells us what the examiner is looking for, it kind of, it gave us this wide misunderstanding of like, okay, yes, we have the free time, not free time, we have basically a blank slate to go and make whatever we want, however we want. If it's a standard story that's all about script and dialogue and things like that, then let's do it. And so there wasn't this heavy kind of, no, you've got to do it on visual storytelling and have a shot that just tells the story rather than characters explaining things and things like that. So I think that's definitely part of the problem. So the next film in the lineup is quite one I quite like. It also, again, has its problems, but it's quite a lot better than this one, I would say. Next film is Lisa, Logistical Intelligence Systems Assistant, or something like that. Well, you'll find out. But yeah, that's one to look forward to, and one to see next time. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you for Lisa.